Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all over the world of crypto and blockchain, all around the world. And today I have an amazing guest. He is the CEO of Lava. His name is Yair Cleper. Yair, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jamil. Thank you. Actually, yeah, I'm an initial co-contributor at Lava Network. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're going to find out what that means today. I want to ask you first, though, about your background. What is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
I'm always trying to make sense in what am I doing. Every day I'm waking up with this question, actually, what makes your heart sing, which is my passion. So I'm, all the time trying to see if I'm achieving that day by day. But actually, my background is going back to computer engineering. I'm born and raised in Israel and study computer engineering in a special program of the army. And I started my first startup when I was 21. Was something in building websites, actually. Yeah, following that, I sold this startup 3 years later, started a couple of other initiatives. And actually, 3 years ago, my co-founder started doing MEV bots in Web3, and he just dragged me in. And since I fell through the rabbit hole, never looking back again. And I found this world evolving in a immense pace. And we were looking from the beginning on what are blockchains, right? What's the core infrastructure? How the apps are going to build, and how many blockchain going to be in the future? And I think that's what brought us to build Lava.
You just presented me with a follow up. I see the market tanking. People talking about capitulation, and what do you think are going to be the number of blockchains in the future?
Yeah, so when we started 3 years ago, there were a couple of L1s, obviously L2s, and I remember a couple of OGs telling me, there's going to be a consolidation. At the end of the day, you're going to see only a handful of blockchains there. But during these years, you see different narratives, such as modular narrative, chain abstraction. You see eigenlayer coming with AVS. And at the end of the day, I thought what is very unique with the blockchain is that they are kind of about to serve a specific purpose, right? They represent communities, they represent people. And what we believe in Lava is that the future holds hundreds and thousands of different blockchains, right? If you open now today CoinGecko, you see, I think, more than 11,000 different currency there. But in the future, as many as application you have on Web 2, this and many more you're going to see on Web 3. And each and every one of them going to be represented by a blockchain. Doesn't matter it's an application specific one, a roll up, even obviously, for example, wallets or stuff like that. But we're going to see more and more blockchain. And that's the problem that I think the Web3 world is going to face. The same team is starting their idea and building the blockchain, spinning it up, but all of them have the same problem. How do they track node runners? How do they bring dApps to build? And how you make it scalable, resilient, and super fast for those devs and dApps to build upon those blockchains?
Okay, you gave me some good follow up questions there. I'm going to first ask you though about Lava. What is Lava all about? What do you do spectacularly well?
Definitely. So I think the proof is in the pudding, and our customer is the one to say if we do it spectacularly well. But we are focused on the delivering execution my co-founder and I are 3 times founders, and we from our background, we like to build scalable products. So the first thing we did is to understand that there is a big gap on the way today blockchain early teams are facing, right? Because once they spin up their own blockchain, they need to spin the infra. They need an actual layer that will allow the apps to connect and interact with them, read, write transaction, come up with swaps. If you open the wallets needs to query the blockchains. What are the gas prices? How do you start making transactions? How do you read the history? All these sort of things. And this is when the initial idea came to us. If we can build a unified layer that aggregate node runners to actually kind of put their infrastructure there and able to communicate directly with the dApps, we are able to solve this problem. So imagine, you have, I think the best analogy is kind of Amazon for Web3 services, right? Because Amazon today are connecting the shoppers to merchants that can sell any kind of items. So Lava is connecting data consumers to data providers that can sell any type of data. And this is the most crucial layer that we feel is a bit abandoned in Web3. So if I'm, for example, opening my wallet, right? The wallet is self-querying the blockchain in order to read the data, to make transactions, to buy an NFT. All of that are basic activities. But then, who is the provider behind the scenes? So what Lava is doing is aggregating all of those providers for a specific blockchain, helping the chain itself, the ecosystem, to define a pool of incentives and give those incentives back to the providers, rewarded based on the quality of service and what is actually the service that they brought. So it's kind of Uber for nodes, if you think about that.
Interesting. And Uber for nodes. I like it. I like the concept. I don't know what node runners are, so I'm going to ask you about that first. What are community node runners, and how do they help the blockchain communities grow?
Yeah, so every blockchain is consisted of hundreds and thousands of different nodes doing different operation. They can validate, they can be just providing service. And at the end of the day, in order to interact with the blockchain, you need to run a node. That was the first premise of every blockchain, right? Permissionless. You run a blockchain and then you can connect. But today, because there are hundreds and thousands of different chains, it's very hard to spin up your own node, and nobody is willing to do that. So different providers starting providing this service. But once they did that, and they were supporting the last bull run, the services became very centralized, right? So think about censorship resistance. Think about scalability. Proof of data, if the data maybe is not from the blockchain that they provide. And this is the way blockchain are working, that is very different from the internet we know today. Today, if you want to surf on a web, you just type www.google.com, right? And in blockchain, it doesn't work like that, because every blockchain is a separate internet, and you need to run a node in order to get there, in order to interact with it. And so Lava is kind of this URL, that protocol behind the URL that's serving that. Because today, when you're serving the web, you don't know where the servers are hosted, right? You don't know which version of HTTP you use. And this is kind of the thing we want to do. We want to aggregate, on the one hand, all the node runners that have access to a specific blockchain. And at the other end, we want to aggregate all the needs, all the demands of the different dApps for the data on this blockchain. And we are making them interact as a marketplace and rewarding them based on the service. So Lava, in a nutshell, connects the node runners to the chains and help all the dApps to build much more scalable, resilient, and fast dApps.
So you're really going to be the Google of Web3.
Google. I started with Amazon because it's a good marketplace analogy, but
Right.
it's a permissionless Amazon. Because at the end of the day, we are open source. Every chain can take Lava, spin up its own infrastructure, invite the node runners, put a pool of incentives there, and make the life of the chain easier. Today, when a chain spins up, every chain needs to start to talk to the providers. How much you contracting me? The contracts are for lock-in contracts for 1 year. They rewarding them not based on the service. How it's the quality of service. So we take this burden away from the chains. When chains are spinning up, right, they have hundreds of things to deal with. But this infra layer, which is super crucial for them, imagine that we're taking this burden away from them.
I love it. I love the concept. I'm trying to think of areas that I think would be problematic.
Yeah.
One of them is you got 10,000 different chains, which means you have a dozen or 2 dozen different Oracle networks. So consolidating information to provide to those chains, right? So you're going to have unreliable data because the data across all those Oracle networks are different. So one of the important things is data, and the data with different sources and different means of getting it is going to be unreliable. So
Reliable, sometimes censored. Some governments will tell those node providers, uh, we want to censor those kind of customers because X, Y, and Z, right? Or at the end of the day, uh, the data are not scalable. Suddenly, one of the chain is doing an airdrop, right? So there is a massive usage, but it's unavailable for a handful of providers. So with Lava, you have dozens of providers that they see this kind of growth in demand, and it's a marketplace. So when there is a demand, there is a supply.
yeah, I agree. I see that. My problem is how do you tackle disparate data that's different and uniform and make it uniform for
Oh,
your client?
that's the bread and butter of Lava, and I think we organize the top minds and experts in building open source, cybersecurity experts and software developers. We wanted to tackle exactly those few things to bring accountability and data reliability for the chain. So every node who's joining Lava, he needs to stake Lava for accountability. And during doing that, we sample the different queries, right? The different requests to the node and benchmarking them without the knowledge, obviously, of the node provider. We're benchmarking them to other providers. So making sure that the data is 100% correct. It's up to the latest block. And that's I'm describing it to you now, but this is being done automatically behind the scenes. So coding that, maybe, one, two more words after. So imagine now you're opening the wallet. You want to see the different, tokens you hold there in a specific chain, right? So the wallet query a specific provider that is being chosen according his quality of service and score, right? As in Amazon, you're going to choose the best merchant there. And following the transaction is finished, the Lava protocol aggregates all the data about latency, availability, reliability of the data, and this makes the final score and reputation for the specific provider. So at the end of the day, the provider who has better service will obviously receive more service in the future and more customers.
Now I understand why you said Amazon. That makes
Exactly.
sense. So you're scoring all the participants based on, yeah, so the same way Amazon does. Got it. That's a good. I like it.
And and another thing, if you talk about Amazon, that I you're reminding me right now. So think Amazon wants to go to a new country. Let's say they are in Portugal right now. This is kind of a new chain wants to launch, and wants to launch a marketplace in Portugal. So instead of how do you build this initial marketplace, right? So it's always the problem with the marketplace. How do you bring the merchants to bring supply? How do you bring the user, the shoppers to bring demand, right? So imagine what Lava is doing is helping you, those chains, to create a pool of incentives. So this pool of incentive can create it like $100,000 or $1 million incentives for providers to join and bootstrap this market. And because Lava has aggregated thousands of different providers, they will join Portugal to join and serve because they see the initial pools. They have a skin in the game and they want to be the first one who's joining that. This is exactly how we eliminate the burden of bootstrapping this infrastructure.
You brought us some other concepts that I'm thinking about now. Your company's focused on building whatever, wherever, right?
No, helping devs to build whatever, wherever.
Okay. So whatever, wherever, and you mentioned Portugal, and that brings up a whole slew of questions regarding at a country level, at a macroeconomic level, and cross borders, right? How do you deal with those risks, political risks, country risks, regulatory risks?
Yeah, so in general, Lava Network is an open source protocol, right? So the chains themselves decided how to implement the Lava, we call it a spec, the Lava specification, right? So for example, in a countries that you have a list of OFAC, right? OFAC, the chain decide if providers are supporting OFAC or can offer, for example, a non-OFAC spec. And this is very, very elastic and it depends on the chain itself. Imagine like different modules that once implementing the infrastructure, the chain can decide to do. So we are agnostic to that. Like the Lava protocol is agnostic, providing both of the things, and obviously no any other problems with the regulators.
It's interesting you mentioned OFAC. Um, I was I was confused on being on the OFAC list for years. It took them years to figure out that I'm not the guy that's on the OFAC list, right? So you know the Web 2 world and their regulars are far behind Web 3. How do we catch them up, get them up to speed? So that they can not participate, but be comfortable with how this all works.
So in every revolution that you see, there is always fear. And I think at the end of the day, the regulators trying to save and their goal, right, is to make sure that the millions that investing and believing in Web3 are not going to get into rug pulls or people will mishandle the thing. So I think obviously they have good intentions. But whatever every technological revolution is bringing, it's a lot of concerns, fears, and in the pace that technology is evolving today, we need to address that from the get-go. Work with the regulator in order to see how we come to a place that there is a balance, right? How we come to a place that there is enough reporting, but it doesn't stop the innovation, right? And the novelties. And yeah, I think what you see today with the SEC and different fights you have through different ecosystem. Like as a newcomer in the last 3 years, it's going to be super interesting how everything evolve. You see the ETF right now, the Bitcoin ETF at the beginning of the year, and suddenly the Ethereum ETF just also coming up. I think the regulator has a lot on their stake to deal with, and obviously I'm not envying them. Our goal from the beginning in Lava was to see what are the needs and to support the adoption. If somebody wants to build an app, build a dApp, why he needs to start building his own cloud infrastructure, right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't, not a single dApp has the resources to start spinning up their own nodes. So our core mission here, and I think that's what you mentioned before, is to allow anyone to build whatever, wherever. Doesn't matter which chain, doesn't matter what. But with Lava, you have a facilitated infrastructure that allows you to build it.
I like it. I want to talk about those developers because I can tell you what I've seen in the past several years is every new chain or every new project trying to reinvent the wheel instead of leveraging what exists. You're leveraging what exists, right? And one of the biggest, arguments I've seen is this whole entire concept of modular versus monolithic, right? Why is the focus now on modular networks?
It depends who you're asking, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all definition. And what I learned personally in Web3 is that this is a narrative world, right? If you hit the right narrative, it can go viral, and then everyone going to speak about that. Whereas it doesn't mean it's really different from the narrative that was 1 year ago. It's just a different label that suddenly was adopted. So you see not only monolithic, modular, you see chain abstraction, led by Ilya from Near, is also a strong, influencer in the AI world. And you see that there are different narratives. At the end of the day, I think that's it's very unique for the Lava network. It doesn't matter which doctrine you choose. It doesn't matter what you believe in. You need to read right transactions. Okay? You need to read right the data. And you cannot build your own infrastructure at home. So you need to utilize the existing infrastructure. And that's how, in general, we want to simplify this thing. You've seen a new chain up and coming, right? And you want to build this next crazy dApp on top of that. We want to shorten the process of you executing that, delivering this service, and refraining from you to need to run your own infrastructure. At the end of the day, when you see the dApps rushing to a specific ecosystem, they use the public infrastructure of each chain. Who's maintaining that today? It's the chain itself. But also the chain has a lot of things to do. So that's how in the last half a year, actually even more, 1 year ago, chain started to reach out to us and said, but what you doing actually with Lava? It's a public good, right? You are just picking up the fastest node runner that closest to the location of the dApp, and you get a fast response for them. And you make those node runners accountable. So at the end of the day, you are public good because you're not biased towards one specific providers, right? If Google is serving this need, you're not, and they're doing that the best, you're going to give the service to them. If it's, even Jamil at his home, running a node and making it the fastest and best, reliance service, you should get more service, right? So it's all based on the quality of service. And back then, half a year ago, we introduced this concept of public infra pools. Okay, we call it incentivized public RPC. Just didn't want to dive into the technical details. But imagine a public good that the chain define incentives, invite node runners to join, and connecting all the dApps that needed service to them. This will really eliminate the need to even ask, are you supporting only the modular, the monolithic? And that's how I'm coming back to your original question.
So you don't see just a modular future, you see a hybrid future.
I see a modular future in the sense that everything you build, we need to remember the values of Web3 and why we all super enthusiastic about that, right? Composability, right? The permissionlessness, the fact to let everyone build whatever wherever, and you see this kind of shared security now with Eigenlayer, right, and AVS, and you see dozens of different chains also supporting that. So what I'm saying at the end of the day, I'm a core believer in the modular if it serves the purpose of bringing dApps to build whatever wherever.
Got it. I like couple things you said too. It is a narrative world, right? Right now, obviously, the narrative is meme coins, but diving beyond that, because everybody knows what that is, right? Diving beyond that, there have been two narrative levels that have been constantly talked about for the past few years that I haven't yet seen come to fruition as far as their potential. One is account abstraction, which you mentioned, and the other is ZK, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you see the future of those playing out and your role in helping to make them become, the potential that they could be?
So, another narrative you see now is the AI, right?
Right.
You see, all those crazy valuation of Web2 companies, let's say, that trying to develop from XAI of Elon Musk right now. I just got the deck of how much they're raising in. It's insane, insane. And there is like this kind of bull market of innovation, right? Bull market of implementation, different feeds that gonna serve different purposes in the future, right? So you know, we started working with Near like around half a year ago, and I think Near is one of the oldest monolithic chain that since then Ilya was pushing the narrative of account abstraction. And together, with sharding and now with the AI implementation, uh, we've seen that happening over Lava, right? Because Near is one of the first adopters. We started with Evmos, Axelar, and Near. And Near spin off the incentive pool of Lava and invited providers to join. And I can tell you that, since the beginning of the year, um, we've seen billions of relays already served with Near, and hundreds, thousands of dollars being distributed to the different providers. So it's a real money that goes back to providers and not necessarily the loudest providers. Even someone, as I mentioned before, a developer at home that is super techy and he built this amazing tech and infrastructure and DevOps, he should get more service, right? Because he's just doing a good service. I know actually, no mentioning names, but I know also a team of two people that only one is techie and they're supporting more than 40 chains. And on Lava, they're reaching the top providers. Like we just see that, you cannot trick the numbers, you cannot trick the latency, and you cannot trick the tech. So at the end of the day, what happened in Near is that we were managing to connect, millions of transactions and users to the blockchain via Lava. We simplify that. We became the go-to RPC provider, the go-to infra on here, and it's just in a few months. So now when the AI revolution is coming, it's going to be even more demanding to do this kind of calculation and all this different computational level is in a different degree. Who's going to serve that? I believe the answer to that will be Lava in the next month.
You know, people are scared of AI. You talked about fear earlier, you know, and I was thinking that AI summer was coming this year. Likely not. I mean, I don't know, maybe. Um, you know, what do you see as the? I mean, and a lot of crypto projects are putting the name AI on it with the hopes of getting a lot of money. Um, but we're not there yet, right? So, what's going to take to be able to get to the AI future that people do envision that they are afraid of, and why shouldn't they be afraid?
Look, I heard Larry Page a couple of years ago speaking about speaking at a conference and mentioning this AI coming or revolution in tech. I think it was 2017, and he said that in every revolution, every technology revolution that's coming up, um, it's taking jobs, but it's creating a new more jobs, right? You see the industrial revolution in the previous century. You see, cars being presented, and everyone was on horses. And no one will use that, right? But the adoption was parabolic, right? And as we progressing, this space is just getting faster and faster. I'm sure you've seen the last ChatGPT 4.0. It's really like speaking with almost a human being. It's insane the world, that this feeling that it gives you. And I don't know if I'm super in agreement with what I heard Larry Page saying in this conference, because it will take a lot of jobs, right? Especially the AI. It's something different than what we've seen before. Because at the end of the day, people are good in two things. Human being, right? They're good in physical work and they're good in intellectual work, right? In something to understand. You need reasoning, right? You need to conclude. This leads to another, leads to another. So the difference from my interpretation, right, from the previous revolution, technology revolution, was in the industrial revolution. That in the industrial revolution, they replaced the physical strengths of people with machines. But now they replace the understanding capabilities of people with machines. And this sounds scary as fuck, as you said before. And I think that it's going to be super interesting. I don't feel at the moment the one to predict, but I'm definitely looking at trends and not trying to be more the populist, right? And the more popular prediction, but more the accurate one and when it's going to lead us. And the future, what we call a future, is not so far from us. It's the next 5 years probably.
I love the parallel between the industrial revolution of Upton Sinclair's Jungle with today's intellectual revolution of a book yet to be named. So, yeah, I like that a lot. It makes sense. You're the first person to lay it out like that, so appreciate it. Thank you. Um, wow, a lot to think about, right?
Right.
So, and you are in Israel, right?
No, I'm based in Lisbon. That's why I gave the Portugal example.
Lisbon. Okay, yeah, great. Awesome.
Yeah, the team, the foundation of Lava is based in Cayman, and we are actually the Magma Devs. We just rebranded the name. Magma Devs is the initial core contributor, around 20 engineers, experts, and software developers. I'm based in Portugal, originally obviously from Israel, and my co-founder is in New York. And yeah, but the team is distributed. We adopted the the doctrine of Web3 of people who can work from everywhere, and I think it's unfolds amazing. Portugal is an amazing hub, um, but I like the visits from time to time to New York, which yeah, it's one of the capitals of crypto, undoubted.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. I love talking to you, and I want to thank you very, very much for your time today. I think I have one last question, and that's just how can people find out more information about Lava, about you, start using, your network, being part of this Amazon-esque, environment and revolution. How can they do that?
Definitely. So, I'm always available on Twitter. Feel free to reach out. I'm only one of the Lava network that is being developing that. Currently, there are other groups that also helping the protocol to grow. And this being an amazing year, especially since the Lava network, the foundation announced the point system. It helped everyone to connect the wallet into Lava and earn points. So it's super simple. Everyone that has a wallet can do that. And yeah, I think what exciting for us now is that mainnet is coming very soon, and the Lava Foundation also announced the Lava token. So community is growing, all the metrics looks super promising. And I invite you, whether you're a dev, whether you're a non-dev, uh, the Lava Foundation is presenting a lot of different roles and tasks for people to do. And yeah, I think you can find us on the Lava Network at Twitter, and our Discord is also very active. So feel free to join there.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Jamil. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the thorough questions. And yeah, looking forward to the next Bull Run cycle.